Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on where you are in the world. And welcome to today's Tech Strong Learning Experience brought to you by Spot by Net app. My name is Cody, and I'm the host of Tech Strong Learning, and we have an exciting presentation ahead. Before we get things kicked off, I do have just a couple of housekeeping notes to review. Today's session is being recorded, so if you miss any of our discussion, perhaps you'd like to rewatch or share with a friend. The on-demand recording will be made available shortly after we conclude this live session today. If you have any questions or you'd like to engage with us in any way, there are a couple options for you to do so. The first of which is the chat tab, where we'd like you to send more general comments, and I'd like you to start warming that up for us right now by letting us know from where you are joining us today. Now, if you have any questions for Sean today, we want you to direct those to the Q&A tab, which is directly to the right of the chat tab. That just helps us keep them a little bit more organized. We will have a couple of polls that we'll be launching throughout today's program, so keep an eye out for those. If you jump over to that handouts tab, you'll notice there are a couple of resources there for you, so feel free to grab those. And of course, before we close out, we are giving away 4 $25 Amazon gift cards, so be sure to stick around for the duration of our program today. So our topic today is the Cloud Whispers, DevOps Secrets Revealed. And I'm joined today by Sean Harris, Developer Relations Lead at Spot by NetApp. Sean, thank you so much for joining me today on Tech Strong Learning. I'll give you the floor now.
Well, thank you, Cody. I appreciate the opportunity to be here and talk to you about breaking down the report that we commissioned in late 2002, or 2022. I'm sorry, not 20 years ago, but late last year. And we got the results back. And so let's talk about what we've learned. My name is Sean Harris. I'm the Developer Relations Lead at Spot by NetApp, as Cody mentioned. So let me give a quick disclaimer. There are a lot of gotchas when it comes to cloud computing and cloud optimization, and your cloud journey may not mirror what we are going to discuss today. The cloud ops space is crowded with tools, options, and ideas, and so some may fit better with your needs than others, but today we're going to talk about a couple things. We're going to talk about the DevOps Revealed report. We're going to talk about where the DevOps and platform engineering industry is going. And we're also going to discuss the Spot platform and how it works from an automation perspective. So we'll do the overview. Like I said, we'll talk about my new trend, XOps, making DevOps work, what engineers are saying, the idea of shifting left or right, what tooling works best, and then where do we go from here? And then maybe some questions. So about me, I've been in the IT industry for 20 years as a practicing professional, for over 20 years as a practicing professional. I started out in entry-level help desk. I've worked my way up to being a platform and SRE lead, taking for both cloud native and legacy companies who are moving to the cloud. I started out in mainline IT operations. I've worked in small, medium business. I've worked in higher education. I've worked in healthcare, and now I work in a cloud-first mindset. Switched to the cloud in 2015 when I could see that's where the industry was going. That's really where I wanted to build my skills at. And my true passion when it comes to the tech scene is infrastructure as code. All code is infrastructure, and all infrastructure is code. And I'm based in the Salt Lake City area of Utah in the United States. So let's talk about the report background. In late 2022, Spot commissioned an independent research organization to come in and kind of get the state of DevOps. What are platform engineers saying? What are they thinking? Where do they see the trends going? We interviewed over 200 DevOps leaders in this space, both practitioners and management level. We also varied the size of the businesses. We looked at mid and large size businesses, people who were running in the public clouds, no matter which cloud you were running in out of the public cloud options. And one of the big takeaways is Kubernetes is the future. And I've given and we're going to go dive into that really in depth as a part of this presentation. But you can also find the full report at our website, and I believe it's in the handouts tab as well. So let's dig into the XOps challenge. It seems that as we get further and further along in the cloud maturity model, we keep trying to find new things to put in front of the word ops. DevOps, DevSecOps. So let's go through those really quick so that we can catch up to where we're at. AI ops. AI is used in IT operations extensively. Everybody talks about their AI models. In fact, you're going to hear about ours as well. But simply put, AI ops is using automated technologies to reduce the overhead and log fatigue that your engineers may interact with. This means catching alerts, automatic remediation, preventing log spew, helping engineers figure out what they really need to focus on versus what is some of the noise that's making it through that signal so that your platform's running correctly. We all know about DevOps. That's been the gold standard of cloud engineering and cloud software deployment since the mid 2010s. But let's take that a bit further and let's throw security into it. And so now DevSecOps, which is working with a security first mindset and adding security to the DevOps methodology to make sure that our security teams are talking back to our product and platform teams and ensuring that we're using the best security practices and putting it at the forefront of our mind for protection of our customers. Bounce that out of there, and now GitOps. GitOps is a new way of saying the single source of truth, using code repository, be it Git, be it one of the other many ways that you can stash your code, but standardizing your framework, storing it in a single repository, and having that be the standard bearer of truth for your deployment and your organization's needs. And then the one that we always love to talk about, FinOps. And Cody, if you want to ask the question about FinOps, it's not just about the money.
Is cost management and optimization a DevOps responsibility? We have A, no way, B, partly, C, mainly, or D, totally. Sean, where do you think this is going to land?
Oh, I hope everybody says totally, because FinOps is not just about the money. It's all it encompasses everything that has to do with cloud ops. FinOps may focus on the financial aspect, but everything that we do in the cloud focuses on making sure that we're spending the money of our employers correctly. There we go. Partly. Come on, let's move it up. Okay. I'll buy that. I'll take partly. I mean, I think that, like I said, I think it goes into everybody, but I think that after this presentation, if we can give you an easier way to look at it and an easier way to visualize what FinOps is, then you can kind of see where I'm going with the idea that FinOps is everybody's responsibility. Excuse me. Got a little bit of the allergies. So simply put, this all rolls into CloudOps, which is all about managing and optimizing all of our cloud infrastructure, be it financial, be it storage, be it compute, be it the core application and the way that we deploy, and ensuring operational excellence of all of our workloads, right? That's what this all wraps into. And a final thought, you cannot simply opt your way out of platform issues. You can't use DevOps if you can't just rely on DevOps. You can't rely on AI ops. You can't rely on one version of blank ops to fix issues that are inherent in your organization. So how does that really fit in to a discussion about what is or DevOps Revealed, right? We asked practitioners what they thought. Well, they brought this up. The DevOps market is a $14.9 billion market per year at its current growth trajectory by 2026. And what are the most in-demand skills? We see web development, we see DevOps up where we would expect them, but we also see AI, database, cloud computing as a general idea, and then mobile development. But obviously, DevOps is way up there with what's on the future, on the in-demand skills. And DevOps practitioners will tell you it's not about just being the guy in the server room anymore. It's not about just being the IT guy. It's about being the guy being the staff member that not only runs the architecture, but develops and holistically manages the architecture from a design on a whiteboard in a conference room all the way up to executing the implementation and making sure that your deployments are working correctly. It's overarching, and the role keeps expanding. 90% of business leaders say they see DevOps as a mindset, as a strategic investment in their business. But if we look at that, 64% of practitioners felt that they weren't valued by leadership in that role. They weren't seen as a strategic partner in the future of the cloud platform. The end result is technical capabilities stack on each other and need to be developed and fostered. And what I mean by that is, as the landscape for the technologies that we use and the tools that we bring into our organizations are constantly evolving, we see the same need to grow the engineer's minds or skill set and help them be able to be the best practitioners that they can by allowing them to grow. And automating is key to handling this, to making sure that people can have the time and the resources and frankly avoid the burnout of trying to keep up with all the technology while running a platform. So let's look at the trend. Is it increasing or decreasing? Well, 87% of the respondents said it's increasing. This gap is increasing, the strategic investment value gap, but also the practitioners being valued. That's a huge number, 87.5%. And here's what they say in their own words. They want greater control and reliability of the platform. They want to be able to control and make their workloads run at scale. They want awareness from the stakeholders. They don't want to be seen as the black box that we've traditionally seen IT as. They also want to play more of a central role rather than a second thought. When something goes wrong, that's when you think of your DevOps team or your platform engineering team. And so we see the blue words or the light blue that says become more strategic, fewer restrictions, more valued. And then the key one that really stood out to me, and I wonder if it sticks out to everybody else, automation everywhere, DevOps, DevSecOps, and robotics. And that's a really good point as we talk about what the trends are going forward from here, is the more you automate, the more easy it becomes to govern and manage what your infrastructure is becoming, reducing sprawl, allowing for more integration, and it allows your teams to be more proactive, come up with those innovative ideas, and focus on the stuff that's going to really increase your business. So I guess we can ask a poll question here. Automation is the key. Yep. That'll work. So let's talk about
up the wrong one.
No, it's fine. That's fine. We can go back. This is good. Let's talk about tools. Go ahead and introduce the poll question, Cody.
Sure. So how many DevOps tools are you currently paying for but not using? We have none. We're responsible adults. Maybe one or two. Let's just say several, or maybe you don't even know.
None were responsible adults. I like that. That's good. Maybe one or two. We got about a third of you that are saying one or two. 17 of you are about who we're about to talk about. And we're growing. And I don't even know. That's interesting. That's an interesting breakdown that I haven't, it's not what I expected. I expected a lot more in a couple areas. But let's talk about tools. The way that we buy DevOps tools that support our organizations has changed. They're temporary by nature, which means not that they're just going to up and disappear because they're not a good tool, but because it's easier to switch from tool to tool. It's easier to go in and try to kick the tires on something because we're not bound by the enterprise acquisition cycle that IT professionals and practitioners are used to. Tool sprawl is another form of FinOps because it can lead to waste. And they need to be configured correctly to be useful, which means you have to have that you have to have that cross-team collaboration. Just like you would in a DevOps organization where you're shipping a product, you're probably going to have to interact with multiple groups to get these tools configured correctly. My dad was a mechanic by trade, and when he passed away a couple years ago, we had to go and clean out his garage. And one thing we noticed is that he had a ton of tools, and some of them he never touched. He would just buy them because they were cool. Tools make sense if you use them. And we just went through the tooling question and maybe one or two and let's say several. I'm curious how the people who have no DevOps tools are managing everything. Are you doing everything by hand? How are you running your automation? And for the people that say, let's just say several, how many are sitting there not getting to the not being the right tool for your end goal, and so it sits on the shelf idle? And how much funding could be freed up, or how many resources could be freed up for professional and technical development, like we talked earlier, all just similar to what we talked about when it comes to having the right tools and making the right investments and helping your engineers develop correctly. 91% of the respondents in our survey said that they manage some aspect of infrastructure or containers for their organization. 91%. That's a lot. That's a huge amount of people that have some form of managing their infrastructure and workloads. 99%, even more, agree that automation is the key to making those workloads run correctly. But 96% said they don't have the infrastructure and containerization optimization in place. So that brings up another question. I'd like to ask the fourth poll, or the third poll question about, yeah, there we go.
So
automation.
Automation is key to success in the cloud. Where are you on your automation journey? A, very hands-on. B, some automation, but with significant manual intervention. C, all of the essential stuff is automated. Or D, everything that can be automated is automated, the opposite of Murphy's Law.
This is going to be a fantastic one to watch.
I put the results up just a little bit early so we can watch.
No, I like it. I like watching it bounce around. I think it gives a level of interaction. And I see somebody asked a question in the Q&A about managing security. We're going to talk about that here in a minute. So I'm not ignoring your question. We're going to talk about some security stuff because I am a security guy. I promise.
We also have a participant that says that they automate their automation tools.
I want to go. That's a place I want to work. That's a great methodology. All right. So as we move on to talk about the importance of automation being the key to success, which way should we shift? I created this chart over the last couple of weeks, just kind of going over my career in the cloud and putting together a value chart. So basically what we have here is what is high effort versus high value, and how should we shift? We focus a lot of our time here with high effort stuff, especially in organizations that aren't cloud native. Cloud first organizations don't have a lot of these problems. They have some, but they don't have a lot of them. But we all seem to wrap our heads around security, compliance, monitoring and observability, automation and orchestration. But we don't focus a lot of time here on the lower effort, but higher value stuff, because we get so caught up on that previous one. But where do we want to be? Where should we be? Right there, I argue. I think that we should be above that threshold in those two quadrants. That if we're doing things that require high effort, that they also provide back high value to the organization. And that's really where CloudOps comes in the sweet space. It allows us to focus on the things that are important, like maintaining our performance of our application, handling audit requests as we go through our compliance programs, managing our security stack, budgeting and going in and automating as much as possible. This is where we should really be working to focus, as opposed to trying to do it linearly, like these two boxes. Do it horizontally, like we would scale out our applications. We're going to talk about that a little bit more too. So 2023 and beyond, and how can Spot by NetApp help? Well, we help customers right away. We have a 696% 3-year ROI for companies that invest in the Spot platform. That means it's 4 months to pay back. We see an average of, on the low side, of 21 reduced public cloud related spending, but that's not bad. That allows you to shift those savings, and we're going to show you how this works. That allows you to shift those savings to explore other services. Have you migrated your infrastructure to virtual machines that are running in the cloud and just running your traditional workloads? Would you like to make containers part of your journey? Would you like to be able to invest in microservices? Reducing your savings or reducing your spend and increasing your savings allows you to make those investments. We work to make your IT and infrastructure staff more efficient by speeding up the time to increase compute, the ability for you to use a variety of instances instead of being focused and having to manually configure all your instances. And I'm going to show you a demo of that here in a little bit. But we also give agility to deploying new resources, making your DevOps teams as a whole more productive, and that results in faster time to market and making your systems more available and stable to your end users. We are a platform for cloud operations at the end of the day. We help with all aspects of your cloud journey. We help with deployment. We help with databases. We help with data processing, and the end result is your productivity. We handle containers. We handle traditional virtual machine compute. We handle network backplanes, storage, some aspects of observability, and the connections that your infrastructure makes. We help with cost management. We help with the visibility and showing the value that your cloud teams make to your organization. We help with user services. We address security and governance and help manage your compliance through our portfolio of products. And the best part is, if you're in one cloud, if you're in two clouds, or if you're in all three of the major public clouds, we support all of them. We have a solution in place for our core applications in every single public cloud. We expand the utilization of excess compute. And the idea behind excess compute is simple. Somebody has something, you need it, and we can help you acquire it for a discount. Sure, you could hire somebody to come in and manage your provisioning of excess compute and help and assist in selling off and managing your financial commitments. But at the end of the day, it's easier if you have a robot doing it. And with 155 million active machines that we're monitoring across our customer base, with dedicated financial analysts whose sole job is to pore over your usage reports and help you come up with a plan, with being able to help you offload some of your financial commitments, your savings plans, your reserved instances, and being able to offload those to other customers through a unique AI-driven marketplace where we can predict what the spot marketplace is going to be with pretty good track record. It really makes it easy to handle some of the more hands-on stuff that you really don't think about when you think about what is cloud ops, what goes into a holistic cloud operations platform. We use application-driven auto-scaling. I talk about the 155 million machines that we have under management right now. Those machines give us feedback into our proprietary modeling system that allows us to predict what your application is going to do, because we ingest all of it. We're not using any proprietary data. We're just watching usage data, and I'll show you what that looks like in action here in a second. But we utilize application-driven auto-scaling to meet your resource needs, to make sure that you're paying the least amount possible per compute unit to get the most value and the most resource utilization out of your application and your virtual machines. And we accelerate your application delivery. Continuous optimization is crucial to the application lifecycle. Just like we see the CI/CD figure 8, we add another node onto that, continuous optimization, where we're constantly watching what we're doing and making sure that we're making the best choices for our organization. So a couple final thoughts before I go into a demo. And an overview of what the Spot platform is. Standardization of practices is key. If you don't have standards, if you don't have an understanding across your business units of what those standards are, you're never going to be able to achieve continuous optimization the same way that you do with continuous integration and continuous deployment. Continuous optimization is a constant thing, and it has to be standardized. As complexity of our cloud workloads and our cloud environments goes, so does the need for skill building and development. And what do I mean by that? We need to be able to grow our engineers and their talent. There's a reason the average life cycle for a DevOps engineer is 3 to 5 years at a given job. It's because they're not getting the development. It's because they're not getting the growth and the professional experience that they need to grow their careers. We can't keep seeing these guys and gals and as non-important, non-strategic members of an IT department. If you're running in the cloud, they have to be seen as strategic. The ideas around FinOps and cloud optimization aren't just monetary. And of course, like I said earlier, it all comes down to dollars and cents. It does come down to how much money is going out because of how the IT purchasing model and the cloud purchasing model has changed the way that we do business. But we have to think about, are we using the right compute resources? Are we just forklifting individual servers and running those workloads in the cloud? Or are we really going in and optimizing our compute environment just like we would with our financial obligations to the cloud providers? Without automation, continuous optimization is nearly impossible. Just as important as standardization of your workloads, automating your workloads becomes just as crucial. Working to shift left is where the progress really happens. Being able to automate, that goes back into the automation, and being able to reduce those menial tasks of pouring through logs. And Spot by NetApp is your partner in this journey. So I'm going to save on any further questions. I'm going to switch and we're going to actually look at the Spot console really quick. So give me 1 second here. We're going to go to the Spot console. So this is the Spot console. If you can't see it, are we good, Cody, or should I zoom in?
Go ahead and continue on, and we'll see if the audience asks us to zoom in.
All right. Righty. So you can see here, these are our product offerings. We have Elastigroup, which is for our virtual machine infrastructure. We have Ocean, which is for containers. We talk about different types of workloads that we support. We support Ocean for Spark, which takes these containerization automation practices to your Apache Spark workloads. We have our Ocean CD tool, which does continuous deployment, and our FinOps tool, Eco. And you see a couple others down here, Spot Security and Spot Connect. These are new services that we're also going to talk about. Okay, please zoom in. So let's start with the virtual machine side of it, because that gets us everywhere. So you can see here on this workload, we are running 855 Spot instances. If we were running this all as on demand, it would cost us 114,000. But because we are using Spot instances, we're saving 65%, give or take, of this, and we're running 13 on demand. And that's costing us those 13 machines, those on demand costs are costing us $10,000. If we look at the last 90 days, you can see here we're still saving, still running about the same. But how is that broken out? We have our Ocean Kubernetes clusters, and you can see, and these are actual workloads that are running the Spot platform right now. And so you can see here on this chart, this is our Spot usage. So these are our potential costs of what we could be charged. I'm going to zoom out a little bit to 90 days there just because it's kind of interesting. But here's what we've actually spent. So we've cut our workloads just a little bit more than half by going out and using the Spot instances. And you're probably wondering, how are they going out and getting all those Spot instances? Well, that's because we have these clusters that are actually running things, and we have our right sizing. So this looks at what our cluster is actually using. Takes a minute to load here. I apologize for the delay. And we're spinning. That's a great thing about live demos. Oh, this is embarrassing. It's not going to show me a chart, but I can come down here and I can come down to the resources, and you can see this is our automated tool. It's telling us that this container is currently requesting 4 CPU slices. Based on what we've seen, we only need less than 1. Same with the memory. We're calling for 12 gigs of memory, but we only really need under 6. So what can we do? Well, we can automate the response to that. I can get over because it's how this is framed. So you can see here it says requests memory. Here's our resizing recommendation. We can click on this button and copy it, and we can go in and do it. And this is for every pod and every node that you have inside of your environment. And what does that mean at the end of the day? Because if you have a machine that's requesting this, isn't it going to try and stack everything to meet those goals? Well, of course it is. But what we do is we look at this and then we say, where can we go to right size this, and where can we stick it to make the most efficient possible? So if we look here, you can see here on this platform one, we're using 86%. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to click that. I meant to hover over it. This node is using 88% of its CPU on 22.8 cores. This one's using 53%. This one's using 76, right? So what Spot tries to do at the end of the day is go in and say, how can we most efficiently pack your workloads so that you're using the most amount of memory that you can, the most amount of CPU that you can, without impacting your workload. So you can see here we're over 50%, and the traditional IT response is, holy something, we're over 50%. We need to start thinking about what we are allocating to this workload. But because of how Kubernetes is designed to work, by adjusting your microservices, and how Spot is designed to work to maximize that usage, we're able to go to super high amounts like 88% CPU and 61% memory, depending on what we're doing. And it's very customizable. Like I said, like we showed here, we can go into each environment and we can go in and define what instances we're allowed to use. So you have the flexibility to go in and say, I only want to use these specific instances, and select which ones work best for your workloads. And the Spot platform will stay within those bounds. And you can also come in and you can tell it how many minimum nodes, the maximum nodes, what's your Spot percentage. And you can restrict all of this information so that you still have full control over the automation of the workloads. You can put in your user data like you normally would and bootstrap your images. And if I go back here, back to Elastigroup, I'll look at this guy here. Here are how we fulfill those instances. You can see here, here's the life cycle. Here are all of our Spot instances that we've requested. If I resort this, if there are any, as it resorts, it tells you what time it was created at, just like it normally would, and it would tell you what the health is, just like you would expect to see. These are all Spot instances, apparently. But it shows you what your on-demand cost is versus what your Spot cost is. So your on-demand cost, if you're running this all on demand right now, would be $200 more than what you're spending here. And so you can see here the same with your storage. We break out your storage. But here's the sweet spot. How do we know what the Spot marketplace is doing? How do we automate that? So we have 8 years of AI-driven data that looks at each availability zone in the cloud providers and tells us what their excess capacity is based on what we're seeing, based on historical, based on a bunch of different information. And this shows us what the distribution is. So how many are available of each machine type. So the C3X large, or sorry, the C4X large has 32 available right now. The C5X large has 12. So we can go in and say which machine types are available. And then we can look at the lifetime. Here's the average lifetime, 6 days, 8 days, based on instance type. So you can see how long you can kind of get an idea of what your instance is going to be available. And then we can see what your interruption rates are. Again, if I move this out over the last 7 days, you can see who's getting interrupted the most. So there have been 11 for the C3X large in US East 1D. And then you can further restrict that to show just what one. So let's look at the C5s, which is a common one. So here's the C5X large. And that blue spike shows you day by day how many market interruptions there are to the market count. So we can that's how we can determine what's going on with each individual instance type. Your log is a rolling log that shows you what's going on. But the heat map is really what really makes it interesting, because we can go in and we can say, here are the spots we are managing, here are the stateful nodes. And a stateful node is a new feature that we just released that goes in and takes your stateful workloads, puts them on the spot marketplace, still allowing your workloads to stay, because we're constantly taking snapshots as your data changes and being able to replace those instances before they go offline. Same with your load balancers. So now we can actually go in and we can edit this configuration. Next. And here's the heat map of the score. So as I add different instance types, so let's add some T2 mediums, maybe some larges. You can see that the score updates. And you can see that as I add different instance types, and I'm zoomed in, so it's kind of harder to see. You can see that we give each market a score, and then gray if that instance type is not supported. So the C3X large isn't supported in US 1A, but it is in 1B, and you can see what that score is. The closer to 100 the score is, the better the marketplace is for that type of instance. And again, it's dynamic, and we break it out by the type of instance: compute optimized, accelerated memory optimized, storage optimized. But then you can go in and define your AMI, define your security groups, and all of the stuff that you would normally associate in your instantiation of a new instance. You can control here and let the Spot platform handle that level of automation. We look at networking, same here. We attach new existing load balancers, or we can create new target groups and balance between them based on your needs. The predictive rebalancing goes and gives your strategy. Do you want to fall back to on demand? Do you want to utilize commitment plans? Or do you want to do something a little different? Right? The cheapest will always be, we're going to go out and find you the least amount of cost. That's it. Just the cheapest way to run your workloads. Balanced goes and says, we're going to look at your commitments. We're going to look at the spot marketplace. And then as the last resort, if no instances or on demand, if no spot instances are available, we're going to try and use the savings plans and financial commitments that you have made to keep those first and before falling back to on demand. And then you can set your draining time, right? You can go in and you can say, I only want to use spot instances that are of a certain type, and I want them to have at least X number of seconds of draining time before it's offline. And we do all that in preparation for it. Same with scaling, we can add metric-based scaling. And finally, the review. You'll see here that we say CloudFormation and Terraform. We also have providers for Pulumi, where you can go in and we will generate the Terraform necessary for you to go and have this as part of your Terraform stack, as part of your Pulumi stack, or just part of your CloudFormation template. Or if you like JSON, we can still do JSON as well. You can set budgets where you can force alerts and compliance with budgets. And the same, and everything that powers Elastigroup also powers Ocean. And Ocean is the way to think about Ocean is Elastigroup for your containers, where we can go in and we efficiently right size your containers using those same methods. I'm going to pause here for questions before I go into the security question that we had. All right, no questions yet. So let's go to spot security. So spot security is a new test for us, or is a new product release for us, where we have gone in and said, if we can help your teams manage their environment better by having automated responses and reducing the amount of log spew, we can go in and we can look at your platform and help you. So here we kind of go on top of your existing security stack. Support role not created to manage incidents with AWS, right? These are all alerts that you're going to see, and we list them by prevalence. The risk analysis page goes and looks at all of your environments that are connected and gives you a breakdown of what they are. Let's go and look at medium risk. So let's look at this guy here. Oh, that's helpful. For this to regenerate. And tells you if it's been remediated, how many things it's failing on, what the asset type is. There it is. There's an EC2 one. And it tells you how to and it shows you a topology of where you are, and then what's connecting around it. Like I said, this is a relatively new product, but it automates your response, shows your compliance trends at looking at one pane of glass, allows you to benchmark over different types and see what your compliance is with that, and then get insights as to what you're missing. And then Connect is our low code, no code connection tool. I don't think I have a demo loaded for that right now, but basically it allows you to auto heal your APIs and services that you connect to. The Spot platform is a very powerful platform with the idea of giving you the most visibility in one place for one of your most important business needs, which is your cloud computing workloads. And just because I'm curious, I've got one poll left I'm going to let Cody bring up, just so that we can close this out and then we can start answering your questions.
So our poll question reads, are containers an important part of your infrastructure strategy? If yes, in progress. B, yes, down the road. C, we have considered, but we're not there yet. Or D, we have no plans.
That's awesome. I love to see the progressive changes in the industry when it comes to how we look at the infrastructure that we manage. And with that, that kind of ends my presentation. If we want to take some questions that come in, be happy to do that. If we want to have a discussion about some topics, or if there's anything that I didn't hit on that you'd really like me to, I'd be happy to do that.
Awesome. So everyone send in your questions. We do have one right here to get us kicked off. So Sean, does Spot only report on your configurations, or will it make suggested changes if directed to do so?
Yeah, so that's a great question. Spot will make those changes proactively if you allow it. We have a lot of customers that when they first acquire Spot and they're getting used to the platform, they'll watch it to see what it's recommending. And you do have the ability to manually kick off changes from the console by hand. And then as you feel more comfortable, crank up the level of automation to the point where it just does things on its own because it shows you that it knows what it's doing and you understand what the results are going to be.
All right, and if you had to say, if you had to narrow it down to one key takeaway that any person sitting in this program should take away, what would that one piece of guidance be?
Invest in your employees, invest in your staff, and help them to see the journey and be the strategic partner that you would make any other part or any other critical part of your business, because the happier and the more fulfilled that a DevOps engineer can be for your organization, or an infrastructure or a platform engineer or anybody in that cloud aligned role, the longer they will stay, the more they will be invested in returning their results and growing their career. And so if you invest in them just like you would an accountant, or just like you would somebody in a different area of your ops organization, you will find that their work-life balance gets better, they're easier, they're more fun to work with, and they're more dedicated to staying long-term.
And are there any kind of container pitfalls or anything that you're seeing emerging as this field continues to grow? I mean, one, where do you see it going? And two, what are there any challenges that you see emerging that maybe we could get ahead of now?
I see two. Number one, excuse me. Number one is I see containers moving more to the cloud. I was just reading an article today that 83% of CIOs and CTOs don't want to manage their own Kubernetes infrastructure. They want to offload a lot of the backend Kubernetes infrastructure to the cloud providers, because why not use the resources by the people who created it, right? Kubernetes was developed as a incubator project at Google. They've really embraced it. Why wouldn't I want to go to a cloud provider who has those resources and those engineers to instantiate a Kubernetes on-prem? So I think that you're going to see that as microservices, serverless, and containers start to make more of a play in the Apple platform engineering world, I think that you're going to see them move more to the cloud. The other thing that I see is I think that in March of 2020, when we all decided we needed to go to the cloud right then, I think that we're starting to see hey, how can we rethink our cloud strategy instead of just throwing everything that we can at the cloud? And so I think that the case for optimization will save a lot of headaches, and getting ahead of the optimization curve will save you the trouble of trying to have somebody come and make you repatriate this infrastructure back to an on-prem environment that you may not be ready to handle from a compliance standpoint, from a physical security and physical infrastructure standpoint, to a resource standpoint. It's hard to find Kubernetes and DevOps engineers right now, right? Even with the mass layoffs at the big tech companies, it's still hard to find good engineers who know what they're doing, who have the experience. And so invest in your employees, optimize your cloud, let the cloud providers handle the backend infrastructure of your Kubernetes infrastructure, are all trends that I really see taking off in the second half as we go into the second half of 2023 and beyond.
Awesome, Sean. I'm not seeing any more questions at this point in time, so I'm going to buy us another minute or so, let our audience send in any last thoughts they may have. And I'm just going to do a little bit of our closing housekeeping. So this session was recorded, everyone. So should you want to rewatch this, you will receive an email with a link to access this recording on demand. You can also find it living on the DevOps website at devops.com/webinars, and be sure to look in the on-demand section. The 4 winners of our $25 Amazon gift card drawing, they are Avinash S, Heather L, Steve H, and John B. So to our 4 winners, congratulations. Keep an eye on your email inbox to claim that gift card. It should make its way over to you in about the next 48 hours. But if you don't happen to see that email, check your spam folder just in case. All right, Sean, I'm not seeing any more questions. So I did want to give you the opportunity to leave us with any parting thoughts or closing words before we take this off the air.
Yeah, so I think one thing I'd like to point out is DevOps is growing. This shift to DevOps and platform engineering is a real thing that we need to pay attention to as managers, as practitioners, as people who are aligned with this industry. If these the goal of today's presentation was not to be a hard sell. It was designed to be informative and to show you what automation is possible. Like I said at the beginning, not all the cloud tools will be the right fit for your cloud organization. However, if Spot is something that you would like to check out, we do offer a 14-day risk-free, no credit card required trial that you're able to sign up for. You're also able to find me. My email and my Twitter handle are on the slides. If you have specific questions that you'd like to come to me for, be happy to help out with that and help make introductions to whoever you would like to talk to from a sales motion standpoint, if that's something that interests you. But I really appreciate everybody showing up, giving me a few minutes of their day to talk about this important issue. And like I said, I'm open to anybody contacting me for feedback, for questions, for just to talk about the state of the industry, or to help connect you with somebody at Spot who can help you on your cloud tool journey.
Awesome. Well, Sean, I'd like to thank you for giving us a few minutes of your day. So thank you for being here with us on Tech Strong Learning.
Thanks, Cody. I appreciate it. It was a pleasure.
Thank you. I'd also like to thank Spot by NetApp for sponsoring our program today. And to everyone who is still listening to us, thank you so much for riding it out until the very end. We really appreciate you being here with us. And we do want to ask for one more moment of your time, as there will be a survey that pops up on your screen as soon as we close out. Let us know what you thought about this program, or if you have thoughts or suggestions for upcoming topics, let us know there, and we'll do our best to get those integrated, because we do want to provide you with content that you want to hear. So again, thank you everyone for being here. Sean, thank you. Everyone, you may now disconnect.